Moderate amount of body roll in the corner. On the throttle. The merge onto the Expressway was with ECT power off. Once I get back onto a local road here, I'll turn it on and accelerate a little harder so you guys can see what the shifting logic is like with that on. While getting off on the exit here, I'll apply the brakes a little harder so you guys can see how that looks and sounds. This won't be a full lockup. Overall, the brakes feel great. Firm pedal. Good modulation. Now for being a 3.5 liter V6, the exhaust actually doesn't sound too bad. It's got a low rumble to it. I mean, it doesn't sound like a V8 at all, but for what it is, it actually sounds quite nice. Noise in the cabin is definitely within what I would expect for the class. It's not, you know, extremely quiet like you know, a full-size pickup, but it's pretty darn close. It's really not too far off. The doors, when closing the doors, they have a nice solid thud to them. And on the Expressway, I did get a little fighting with the wind, but it is quite a windy day here in Michigan, so probably not the best day to make a good judgment on that. So I'm going to turn ECT power on here and accelerate so you guys can see what that's like. I do like that even under a hard acceleration, it doesn't hang in that final gear before you let off too long. It's just in, you know, for instance, I was at third, it grabs fourth quite quickly after you let off the gas. Some cars, when, you know, you're in a performance mode like sport or whatever it may be called for the vehicle or the manufacturer, they like to just hang there for a while, and more often than not it's in a car, and I guess it makes sense for the application and that you might be coming into another corner and you might want to be in that lower gear. But for a pickup, obviously that doesn't make sense, and they've left it as such here. So nice to see that you can drive around in ECT power on all the time and not have that rev hang when you let off like some cars do. There are some things I like to see in this cabin though. You know, you do have wireless charging enabled. You just leave that guy plugged in there and then just sit your phone down in that bottom cavity. And it's a pretty good size. You know, phones have gotten pretty big through the years, and it's sized appropriately for some pretty big phones. Now, if you've got a Max or a Plus Samsung Galaxy phone, you might have a little trouble, but overall it's a pretty good size. You do have the power back window, park sense, and this particular truck does have the premium and technology package, so you do get that, and blind spot monitoring. But you know, overall it's a nice, well-equipped truck for what it is, and you know, the mid-size category truck is definitely outfitted quite nicely. I've driven this Tacoma in the past, and I actually almost ordered one. Well, I did order one, but long story short, I didn't get it. So the timing on a build for a manual was just much longer than we had anticipated upon ordering, so I ended up buying the 4Runner. But the manual transmission is probably still my choice. Anytime there's a manual offered, that's what I'd like to go with. But through the years, I think Toyota's really refined the 6-speed to make it better. The early years had some transmission programming that definitely wasn't preferable, so a lot of folks were going to the manual. Even if they really weren't enthusiasts for that transmission, they were really driving to it. The heated seats did kick on with the vehicle, so I did get to enjoy that throughout the drive here. They're on a middle range. They're not too hot, not too cold, probably just perfect in my opinion. Now, I have listened to the JBL audio on this truck. It does sound nice. It's not anything that's gonna, you know, probably satisfy an audiophile, but it definitely does sound, the sound quality is at a level you would expect for the price you're paying for the JBL. And if you're not interested in the JBL, or you're looking at more of a base Tacoma, I did test one with the standard audio, and it does sound quite nice as well, so don't feel like you have to upgrade to the JBL for any specific reason. there's definitely a little bit of a dead spot below, you know, probably $3,000, 3,250 range. The car just livens right up after that. I mean, it's got a little bit of a VTEC effect going on here, so I'll have to look at the torque curve on this engine to see where all the power is coming in. You know, it is naturally aspirated, so I would expect it to be quite linear, but it's just interesting to see that surge of power that comes along at that power range there, or that RPM range. Let's accelerate here with ECT power off, so you guys get a feel for what that would be like under a normal scenario. I really think this Tacoma's got just as much power as anyone really needs in a typical situation. So your typical pickup buyer, non-performance kind of vehicle person is going to be quite happy with this engine. It's a good little power plant.